This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, it is Tuesday, first day of the show for this week. Okay, here's what we got going on today. We have Cavs Raptors for the first segment. That series ended up in a sweep. I mean, I'll give my thoughts on that in a moment. Okay. Second segment, it seems like Big Ben isn't really playing too nice with his new teammate / coworker, Mason Rudolph. Doesn't sound like they're going to be the best of buddies, or Big Ben's going to be giving him any tips or tricks as far as playing quarterback in the NFL. So we're going to talk about that for the second segment. Third segment, we got Celtics Philly from yesterday to talk about. Philly's now down 3-1. Do they have a chance? Who knows? I mean, if history tells us right, no. All right, and then for the fourth segment, going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports, as we always do. All right? So like I said, I mean, the playoffs, and this has been kind of like the theme right here, okay? Playoffs have been very exciting. People have thought, oh, anything could happen. We had the Pelicans sweeping the Trailblazers in the first round. The Jazz beat the Thunder. And a lot of people seem really surprised from that one series too, the Jazz and Thunder series. But like, why? Why on earth would anyone think that the Thunder, just given how they played this season, I mean, we're a good team. I just don't get that. But nonetheless, people were surprised because of that. And then we had the Warriors and Houston getting out of their series. And then over in the East, I mean, we had the Celtics, who everyone was pretty much, how do you say, in the first round, writing them off because of the fact that they wouldn't have Kyrie Irving. They get out of that. Okay, Philly beats Miami. I mean, that wasn't a surprise there. Cleveland goes 7 with Indiana. So people were talking, oh, maybe this is it for LeBron. Maybe he's going to be out before the Eastern Conference Finals. And then you had Toronto. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, Toronto might actually do something. All right, now it's looking like we're going to have exactly what we all expected before the season started. A Houston versus Golden State Western Conference Finals, and then Cleveland versus Boston Eastern Conference Finals. Granted, for Boston, I mean, they're missing a couple players, but nonetheless, nothing's really changed. All right? And sure enough, okay, over here in this Toronto and Cleveland series, I picked Toronto to win in 6 games. What do? Okay, and I don't know why. I just completely decided to ignore the past about Toronto versus Cleveland because of the fact that, I mean, as much as I tried to ignore it, it's still a thing. All right? Toronto got swept here. They lost game 4, 128-93. Does that sound like a team who even deserved to make the playoffs there? Okay? You lose your do or die, go home game, 128-93. Are you serious? All right? For the Raptors, you had Serge Ibaka, who had 12 points, only had 1 rebound, shot 5 of 8, played only 18 minutes. All right, in Game 3, I mean, he went to the bench for Fred VanVleet. That didn't really work out. I'm not really sure what Dwayne Casey was thinking here, too, with the starting 5. I mean, Valanciunas, if anything, I feel has been one of the Raptors' best players in the playoffs, unless I'm just completely mistaken here, which I don't think I am. But anyway, he got moved to the bench for Game 4 in order for CJ Miles to start. Miles had 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, shot 5-11, so that's not bad. All right, and then speaking of Valanciunas off the bench, he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, shot 7 of 14, and I mean, that's better than Miles or Ibaka played. So I still don't understand why you take him out, but nonetheless, he did. Okay, OG Anunoby had 2 points, shot 1 of 3 from the field, had 2 rebounds. His primary job was to guard LeBron, so I mean, they can't really knock him there for his offensive production. Kyle Lowry played 30 minutes, only had 5 points, did have 10 assists, 4 rebounds. Shot 2 of 7 there, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. DeMar DeRozan had 13 points, 5 rebounds, shot 5 of 11. He was brutal all series long. I think he was the worst as far as the team's plus-minus. I think he finished with a minus 29. Yeah, I finished with a minus 29. That was the worst. Lowry and Anunoby had a minus 23, which was second worst. And off the bench, like I said, Valanciunas, he had 18 points there. Let's see. Siakam had 9 points, 2 rebounds, shot 3 of 4. Van Vliet had 5 points there, only 1 assist, shot 2 of 5. DeLon Wright had 10 points, 2 rebounds, shot 4 of 7. I mean, the team as a whole shot 45% from the field, 26% from 3, and 74% from the free throw line. For the Cavs, you had LeBron James, who had 29 points, 11 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 8 rebounds, shot 12 of 19. Kevin Love had 23 points, 6 rebounds, shot 8 of 13. George Hill played well, had 12 points, 5 assists, shot 5 of 8. Kyle Korver, who's been pretty solid all playoffs long, he had 16 points, shot 6 of 8 from the field, 4 of 5 from the three-point line. J.R. Smith was perfect from the field in this one, had 15 points, 3 assists, shot 6 of 6 from the field, 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Larry Nance, who played 6 minutes, finally did something. He had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks. All right, Jeff Green had 8 points, 4 rebounds, shot 3 of 7 there. Chetty Osman got some minutes in this one, actually played 21 minutes, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the most off the bench. He had 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 2 of 5. Tristan Thompson had 5 points, 2 rebounds off the bench, and then you had Jordan Clarkson with 5 points, shot 2 of 8. All right, the other man that the Cavs traded for, Rodney Hood, did not play. But that's not because of Ty Lue. That is actually because of Rodney Hood. I guess Ty Lue yesterday in the game, which was Monday's game. Yeah, so Monday. Ty Lue, it was late in the fourth, I think it was. Ty Lue tells Rodney Hood pretty much to go in the game, and Rodney Hood refuses. Okay? I'm not really sure what Rodney Hood is thinking here. All right, and I guess the team had a little meeting with him, deciding whether or not to suspend him or fine him. They didn't do either. I think Rodney Hood's a restricted free agent this summer too, so if anything, they're like, you know what, no one's going to pay anything for you, so we'll just leave it. That's your punishment right there. All right, but nonetheless, I don't understand Rodney Hood deciding not to come into the game. I don't get it at all. You're a professional basketball player. Your job is to go out and play basketball, yes? Yeah, I think that's correct. All right? And especially given that you haven't really played too much in this series, why wouldn't you go out there to get some time? All right? So Rodney Hood, obviously, not the smartest person out there as far as just being a professional. Okay, it still makes no sense to me. I don't get why. Especially given that, LeBron's going to be going to a new team next season, it's looking like. Why not pretty much give a good first impression to the point where maybe he'll allow you to go play with him next year? I don't know. Didn't make sense to me, but yeah, Rodney Hood, asked to go play in the fourth quarter, refuses, so don't really think that's a smart business move there for it. But nonetheless, Cavs ended up winning the series in 4 games. Sweep here. All right, Toronto is now LeBronto. LeBron owns real estate in DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry's heads. It's ridiculous. Okay? I'm not really sure what it is with those two guys, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. But fact of the matter is they might just be mentally weak as far as the game of basketball when it comes to playing LeBron because, they haven't done, this was terrible. Okay? You were the 1 seed and you let the 4 seed go out and sweep you? Given how poorly they played in round 1, you're telling me you couldn't get 1 game here. Okay? Not 1 game. If you're a Raptors fan, I don't know how this would be acceptable for you. Okay? And it's looking like the person who's going to get the worst part of this is Dwayne Casey, when, if anything, he was the best part about this team. All right? They got considerably better during the regular season this year compared to last season. All right? And not only you can blame Dwayne Casey for the fact that DeMar DeRozan stunk it up all postseason long. Kyle Lowry actually played well. He had his Kyle Lowry postseason games. I think he had 2 of those. But other than that, he still looked like a good basketball player in the other games he played. All right? So you're telling me because of the fact that DeMar DeRozan and this Raptors team, the players, this is on the players, this isn't on the coach, this is on the players. All right, you're telling me that because of the fact that they can't handle LeBron James, that the coach gets fired for it? Okay? Dwayne Casey tried doing his job. He tried making changes. He tried switching things up, find some of the work. Okay? This is strictly on the players. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry aren't good enough to lead a team. They aren't leaders. Okay? Those are B players right there. Those are second-tier players. Those are guys that, all right, it's pretty much like, oh, yeah, we got our guy, the guy we want to build a team around. Now let's add a guy like Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan. Okay? Those aren't franchise players, as much as they may want to think they are or as much as people want to think they are too. Okay? And that's not a problem. Kevin Durant's not a guy you build your team around. Neither was Melo. All right? And if people would have realized that sooner, maybe Melo would have won some things. Okay? It's not a problem. It is what it is. James Harden's a guy you could build your franchise around. LeBron's a guy you could build your franchise around. Kobe was a guy you could build your franchise around. Okay? DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, definitely not. They're not. They just don't have like that presence among them. Like LeBron, you know he's the guy on whatever team he plays for. Okay? Kobe, you knew was the guy. All right? But now, because of the fact that these players just came out and played weak all series long, the coach is going to get the bad end of it for no reason, too. The Raptors are going to set themselves back a little bit, I think, if they do get rid of Dwayne Casey, because he's not the problem. All right? And if I'm these teams who are looking for a head coach right now, I'm not hiring anybody until I figure out what's going on with Toronto. Because if Dwayne Casey gets fired from Toronto, then he's the best coach available. Automatically. All right? If anything, I'd rather get rid of a guy like DeRozan or Lowry before I get rid of Casey. Okay? And I know that's usually against the norm. Usually it's the coach that goes and not the players because you got to pay the players. But the fact of the matter is, it's not Dwayne Casey's fault. And it never was. He did his job. He coached. Okay? Don't get mad at him because his two best players combined for 18 points on 18 shots. Okay? They combined for 7 of 18 from the field. 1 of 4 from the three-point line. And like I said, 18 points with a combined plus-minus of minus, I think, 52. All right. I mean, that's just ridiculous there. It makes no sense to me. But yeah, let's get rid of our coach, the guy who pretty much elevated our offense, switched it up this season, and helped to lead us to the number 1 seed. Sure, let's do that. All right. Toronto, I mean, they're going to make a big mistake if they get rid of Casey, so we'll see. But as far as the Cavs go, I mean, it's just business as usual. We all got excited from their little round 1 scare, enough to the point where I picked them to lose in 6 games to this Raptors team. Now it's just a matter of, I mean, are the Celtics going to be able to beat them? Maybe the Sixers, if the Sixers pull off one of the greatest comebacks in NBA history. All right? But it sure enough will probably be Sixers, Celtics, or Celtics, Cavs. Maybe it'll be Brad Stevens versus LeBron. Who knows? Okay? So we're going to wrap it up there. Next up, we're going to talk Sixers, Celtics, and then third segment, we'll talk Big Ben. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We spent that first segment talking about the Cavs and Raptors series. I mean, more so about the Raptors. I mean, they'd be making a huge mistake if they end up firing Dwayne Casey. All right, but it's probably what they're going to be doing, honestly. Okay, Because, I mean, like I said in the first segment, usually when it comes down to it's either the players or the coach that you get rid of, it's always the coach. Okay? So we'll see. But, I mean, that'd just be a dumb decision by the franchise. All right, you'd be getting rid of a great coach. I mean, the guy could very well win Coach of the Year, okay, and get fired all in the same season. Isn't that a little bit ridiculous? Okay, I understand that maybe whoever the Raptors owner may be wants to win and all that, but let's think with our heads real quick instead of making a couple of rash decisions, okay? A smart decision would be to pair up Ibaka, Van Vliet, and maybe some other young player and a first-round pick for a top player, all right? Maybe go out and see if you can get a guy like Kawhi Leonard, okay? Do something. You need a better player to add with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. All right. You see it with all these top teams. Okay, the Cavs, I feel like, are the only outlier right now. Usually, all of them got at least 3 great players. Warriors, they got 4 great players. Houston's got James Harden and Chris Paul, but one's one of the greatest point guards of all time. The other is a top 5 player in this league right now. And I guess Capella is that third man. Celtics, before Kyrie went down, it was Kyrie, Horford, and Tatum or Brown, whoever you wanted to put there. I mean, it was supposed to be Kyrie, Horford, and Hayward. Okay? I mean, just get with the times. That's all you got to do. But either way, I mean, it's looking like they're going to be getting rid of him. So, like I said, if I'm a team who's looking to hire a head coach this offseason, I am waiting until I figure out what Toronto's got going on with their little situation. Okay, because as soon as Dwayne Casey hits the open market, he is the best head coach available, and it's not close. Okay, so we'll see. But, I mean, stuff like that happens when you lose, 9 in a row, 10 in a row to the Cavs in the postseason? Isn't that a bit too much? A bit much there? I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay? If Toronto's trying to find someone to be mad at, it's Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. And if it's this postseason, it's DeMar DeRozan. Kyle Lowry played fine. Granted, he played poor in Game 4, but I mean, the series was already over by the time they lost Game 1. All right? And that's one thing you can kind of tell, too. After Game 1, it was, you could tell, they gave up. They hung their heads. Okay? That outside talk, that outside noise got to them. So we'll see what Toronto ends up doing. But let's move on to Philly and Boston. All right, Philly and Boston had their Game 4. Boston was up 3-0 in the series. Turns out Philly can win a game. They ended up winning this one 103-92. For these Celtics, you had Al Horford, who really wasn't used as much, and that's one thing we've saw so far in this playoffs is that when Al Horford's not really utilized enough in the offensive game plan, Celtics don't really have a good shot at winning. But either way, he finished 4-6 from the field, had 10 points, 10 rebounds there, also had 3 blocks. Jason Tatum had 20 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 7-16, 2-6 from the three-point line. Aaron Baines had 9 points, 6 rebounds, went 2-6 from the three-point line. It's very weird seeing Aaron Baines shoot threes. I mean, that's something that he's never done in his career before, but you could tell that's something he's been working on all season long. He just broke it out, too, for the playoffs. It's not like he's been doing this all season long. But either way, we had, Marcus Smart with 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 5 of 12, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. Terry Rozier was pretty quiet in this one, had 11 points, 8 rebounds, shot 4 of 11, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Marcus Morris, who had 17 points, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 15, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Shane Larkin left the game in this one, ended up getting hurt with a shoulder injury. I think they had to get x-rays on him to see if he's going to be able to play Wednesday for Game 5. And then you had Jaylen Brown, who played 23 minutes in this one, had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 2 of 6, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. All right, as a team, they shot 41% from the field, 34% from 3, and 73% from the free throw line. For the 76ers, Dario Saric finally showed up. He had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 9 of 17, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Joel Embiid had 15 points, 13 rebounds, shot 6 of 15 there, had 0 blocks. And I feel like his block numbers have been really low this series. TJ McConnell got the start in this one, okay? If you remember back to Game 2, Ben Simmons only scored 1 point in that game. McConnell gets taken out in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left. If Philly leaves him in, this series is completely different, okay? That is what lost Philly, or that's what pretty much lost Philly this series, All right, because I do not think that they're coming back against Boston in 7 games. Okay? I think if TJ McConnell plays the rest of the fourth quarter in game 2, they win. But nonetheless, I understand you got your rookie and Ben Simmons. You need to have him out there for those moments. All right, but like I said, McConnell finished with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 9 of 12 there. Ben Simmons had 19 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, shot 6 of 15. JJ Redick shot the ball very poorly in this one, only had 7 points, 3 assists. Shot 3 of 11, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Was a plus 17, though, so he affected the game in other ways. Off the bench, you had Aaron Ilyasova with 6 points, 5 rebounds, shot 2 of 7. And then Marco Bellinelli struggled in this one, had 9 points, but shot 2 of 10, 1 of 3 from the three-point line, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. All right, so like I said, Philly won this one 103-92. What does this win mean right here? I mean, not much. You win game 3, then yeah, it means a whole lot more because then you're going back to Boston, tied 2-2. But now you're going back to Boston, down 3-1. All right, then Boston hasn't lost at home this postseason. I feel like it's safe to say. Yeah, have not lost so far at home. All right, so game 5 would be a first if they did. And with Philly, okay, my thing with them has been the lack of experience. And I think we're seeing that. Okay, and that's fine. They're going to lose the series, I feel, because of a lack of experience. Ben Simmons has been okay in this series, but you could tell he's hit sort of like that rookie wall. Okay, I don't think he really hit that at all this regular season. He was dominant from start to finish. But now getting to the playoffs, playing against a Celtics team who's been in the playoffs year after year the last couple of years. All right, was a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I mean, granted, a lot of those guys from last year's team aren't there anymore. I think the only guys still there or are still there from last year are Horford, Smart, Rozier, and Jaylen Brown. That's it. Okay, just 4 players. All right. But nonetheless, you got a guy like a coach like Brad Stevens who knows, I mean, pretty much what it takes to stop a guy, what a guy's weaknesses are, and all that. And that's how they've limited Ben Simmons so far in this postseason. Okay? And for the Sixers, I mean, looking forward to Game 5 as far as like their chances of winning this series. Of course, if they win Game 5, which I do think is the most important game in any series, whether it be NBA playoffs, MLB playoffs, or whatever, Game 5 is usually the one that has the biggest momentum shift. All right, because right now, Philly's down 3-1. Okay, let's say you go to Boston and you win, you're down 3-2, going back to Philly with the confidence that you got right now after you just beat Boston in Boston, thinking, oh yeah, winning at home is going to be a piece of cake. Let's say they win Game 5. I could see them getting Game 6 at home. Game 7, it's up for grabs. All right? So like I said, I think that Boston's going to end up closing out the series on Wednesday. But nonetheless, don't let Philly win that game if you're Boston. Okay? I kind of think back to Kevin Millar when the Yankees were up 3-0 on the Celtics. When he told, I think it was Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe, I think it was. Told him, don't let the Red Sox win Game 5 or Game 4. Yeah, it was Game 4. This is different. Okay, I'm kind of switching it up. It's don't let the Sixers win Game 5. For the Red Sox, it was don't let the Sox win this game. Win Game 4. All right? And that's the same thing here, except, like I said, it's Game 5. You let Philly win Game 5. They're going back home with all the momentum on their side. Now the pressure's on you. Okay? Philly loses. They're just out. You lose. There's even more pressure because, I mean, you don't want to be the first team up 3-0 to give it up. All right? And, I mean, Philly hasn't. They've been in every game except for Game 1. All right? Game 2, they were up by 22 in that one. They blew it. All right? Still only lost by a few points. Game 3, I mean, they had opportunities to win it. It's just a couple of boneheaded mistakes kept them from doing it. Game 4, they win. All right? So if I'm Boston, I mean, if I'm Brad Stevens, I'm hoping Jaylen Brown's hamstring is good enough to where I can put him into the starting 5. Okay? Marcus Smart really hasn't been cutting it as far as being the starting shooting guard on this team. All right, he's more so a guy that's needed off the bench so he can provide a spark. But nonetheless, I mean, like I said, I'm not too into it. I don't think that Philly's going to end up winning Game 5. I think this series is over. Okay? Like, Philly winning yesterday didn't really do anything for me. Boston winning game 3 definitely did something because of the fact that that was first team. Like they always say, the series doesn't start until the road team wins. All right, and Boston got that in game 3. Philly winning at home is not news. Okay? I mean, Boston's last series, the home team won every game. So it didn't really matter. Philly's not going to make me think or anything like that unless they win game 5. So we'll see. Like I said, they can do it. That's not like they're completely out of the series or anything like that. Just because no one's ever come back down 3-0 doesn't mean no one has a chance. All right? It's possible. Momentum's a crazy thing. But like I said, Boston needs Jaylen Brown in that starting 5. They need him to be the Jaylen Brown he was in the first series, in the round 1 against Milwaukee. All right? And maybe it's just one of those things where guys like Terry Rozier, haven't really played too well on the road so far in the playoffs. And if I'm Brad Stevens, you got to know the game plan for game 5 is to get the ball to Horford in the paint on offense. Okay? Whether that be getting into him in the paint and then he kicks it out or scores is one thing, but at least have him involved more. Him only going it's obvious that he's the key to this team winning. All right? So we'll see what ends up going on, but as far as Philly goes, even if they do end up losing game 5, this isn't a season where you hang your head down on. All right? This is already a successful season for Philly given that Ben Simmons didn't play at all last season, and this is Joel Embiid's first healthy year, and you already look like a great team. All right? If anything, they're just going to be losing to a more experienced team, and that's fine. Philly's going to be back next season, no problem. And if anything, they'll be better. All right? So we'll see. Curious to see if they're going to be having T.J. McConnell start in game 5 again because of the fact that, came in for Robert Covington for game 4. Robert Covington got moved to the bench. All right, and let's see. Did Robert Covington do anything yesterday? I don't even think I read. Oh, yeah, he's stunk it up this series. Played 19 minutes. Went 1 of 7 from the field, 1 of 5 from the 3-point line, had 3 points, 5 rebounds, did have 3 assists, had 4 fouls, so he wasn't really great. So, yeah, I'd assume that given Robert Covington didn't play well in Game 4, you get T.J. McConnell with the start again in Game 5. All right, T.J. McConnell was giving the Celtics fits, so we'll see what ends up going on. But we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, like I said, we're going to be talking about Big Ben, how he's been acting since the Steelers drafted Mason Rudolph, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked Cavs Raptors that series, and then we talked Philly versus Boston. Right now, Boston's up 3-1 on Philly, got Game 5 in Boston on Wednesday, and then the Cavs ended up sweeping the Raptors. Surprise, surprise. So they're waiting to see who the winner of that Philly and Boston series is. All right, they might not have to wait long, but nonetheless, we'll see how it all plays out. All right, so now we're going to head over to the NFL. Okay. And we've seen this before where the team obviously has their franchise quarterback still playing, but nonetheless, you'll see them draft his replacement. Okay. We saw it with Brett Favre when they got Rodgers. Let's see. Who else have we seen it with? Now I got to think. I don't know. Usually teams will do that, though. Okay. We're seeing it right now, too, with Lamar Jackson heading over to Baltimore. now he's backing up Joe Flacco, but we all know next season Lamar Jackson's going to be the quarterback of that team. Okay? And these quarterbacks, these franchise quarterbacks don't really seem to enjoy it that much. Okay? The teams drafting their replacements, eventual replacements. I mean, we saw Tom Brady got one of them traded away. All right? Allegedly. I'm not going to go out and say that he did it, but I mean, come on now. You're only giving up Jimmy G for a second-round pick. Now you have no quarterback situation behind Tom Brady. Yeah, sure. All right. But either way, I mean, the Steelers, now they're the talk. Okay? Obviously, the last few years, we've seen Big Ben, okay, year after year. Probably like the last 4 years, I'd like to say. All right, last 4 years talking about retirement. Okay? Maybe last year against the Jaguars in a regular season game, he was talking about maybe I don't have it anymore. Okay. And it's just been year after year, the whole, I'm going to go pretty much. I'm thinking about it. Now I'm sure how much of this I could take. Okay. And obviously, that had us thinking that maybe Big Ben's going to be retiring soon. I mean, given the way he's been talking, okay, the last few seasons, I figured he only had 2 more years left. Now, surprise, surprise, because let's just say this. The Steelers draft Mason Rudolph, and then all of a sudden, given all the retirement talk over the last few years, Big Ben now wants to be like Tom Brady. Big Ben wants to play 3 to 5 more years. Okay? I don't understand Big Ben. Okay? I don't understand why Big Ben has me blocked on Twitter. All right, maybe it's kind of like a flattering thing because I think he has a lot of the media guys blocked. So, I mean, maybe I should be happy about it. But I'm also not sure why Big Ben seems to be frustrated at the fact that they drafted Mason Rudolph. Okay? And people may be like, oh, well, this is weird because, like, why wasn't he mad when they had Landry Jones or Josh Dobbs? You really think that Landry Jones was going to take his job? I mean, have you seen the guy play quarterback in the NFL? Okay. And Josh Dobbs, very overrated at Tennessee. I mean, they never won something. Did you think that guy was going to take his job? No. I could have told you that the moment they drafted him. People say, oh yeah, Josh Dobbs is going to be... Josh Dobbs is probably a very nice person. But as far as the quarterback, I mean, that's not great. Okay. People were saying when Josh Dobbs got drafted, oh, yeah, that's Big Ben's eventual replacement. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. Okay? They draft Mason Rudolph this year. Yeah, that's Big Ben's eventual replacement. I'm almost positive, too, they ended up trading up for him in the draft. All right? So now, I mean, you're going to have the questions of, oh, Big Ben, are you going to help mentor him? Big Ben, are you going to teach him the playbook? Okay? Big Ben isn't going to be doing any of that. All right. Big Ben is frustrated. Ben Rothlisberger doesn't like the fact that they take a quarterback, round 3, round 2? All right. He says, how's that going to help us win now? And I mean, with that logic, it's true. All right. Steelers are trying to still win Super Bowls, I'm assuming. I mean, I understand that Tom Brady's still in that conference and with the Patriots, but I mean, you still got to try. All right. So yeah. I will give Big Ben this. As far as his comments on how is Mason Rudolph supposed to help them win now, I completely understand that. Okay? Because he's not. Mason Rudolph does not help you win now at all. You throw Mason Rudolph out there with the Steelers, they're just a rebuilding team. With Big Ben, they're Super Bowl contenders. Okay? I understand last time the Steelers won a Super Bowl was against the Cardinals, but nonetheless, I mean, they're still a top team in the AFC. Whether you like it or not. I do understand that they lost to the Jaguars last year in the playoffs in the divisional round, but it doesn't matter to me. Steelers are still a top dog in that AFC. Okay? But here we are. All right? Mason Rudolph does not seem to be Big Ben's favorite pick in the draft. Okay? I think I saw a comment saying that Mason Rudolph's got any questions, Big Ben's just going to point him straight to the playbook. Big Ben's not helping out Mason Rudolph one bit. Okay? And although it seems like it's a bad move, which it does seem like it's a bad move. I mean, he doesn't owe it to Mason Rudolph at all to help him. Okay? And I'm kind of against Big Ben on this, and I'm kind of with Big Ben on this, okay? Because I'm going to get into it all, but let's just put it this way where we're defending Big Ben here. Okay? Let's say that you work at a job, all right, and your boss hires some other guy, and they don't tell you directly, but you know that guy was brought in to eventually replace you, okay? Are you going to help the man or woman that is supposed to replace you learn your job? Okay? Are you? I think more times than not, you're not going to. All right? And I think that's fair. Why on earth would you help your replacement? We saw that with Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay? We saw that with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre said he's not supposed to be Aaron Rodgers' mentor. That's not his job. And he's right. All right? The logic is sound there. But now, people seem to be kind of frustrated at Big Ben because of the fact that he didn't want to help Rudolph. But I totally get why. Okay? But the part where I'm against Big Ben here is the part where he did this to himself. I'm not really sure why, if he comes out saying that he wants to play 3 to 5 more years, why on earth did you talk about retirement so much over the last few years? Why? Okay? Like, it didn't make sense to me. Big Ben did it to himself here. Big Ben doesn't talk about retirement. Steelers don't draft Mason Rudolph. Okay? Big Ben has no one to blame but himself for the Steelers drafting a quarterback. Big Ben's retirement talk literally fueled everything as far as the Steelers needing to get a quarterback. That's the reason why we've talked about it. Okay? Because of the fact that Big Ben always seems like he's always ready to go. Alright? He did it to himself. And now he's probably literally only got about 2-3 more years left. Whenever his contract is up, that's it for him, I feel. Alright? I mean, I don't see them renewing it at all. And speaking of his contract, I should probably look that up just to see when it does that. I think it's got to be like in 2020 or whatever. But fact of the matter is, I mean, Big Ben should only be mad at himself. Okay? I mean, it makes no sense to me. Well, it does make sense, but in a way it doesn't. It's just kind of counteracting everything. All right? And let's see. We'll go to Pittsburgh Steelers and look at his contract real quick. All right, I'm almost positive it ends in like 2020. Yeah, so 2020 is when Big Ben's deal's up. All right, so you'll have the 2018 season coming up, 2019 season, and 2020 season, then he's done. Yeah, Big Ben's not getting another deal after that. And even then, so, I mean, he'd be 39 by then, if not 40, depending on what month his birthday lands on. All right. So I have no problem with the Steelers drafting a quarterback. If anything, yeah, Big Ben, you can still play 3 more years. All right. But as far as him not helping out Rudolph, I get it. I'm not ever going to ask a quarterback or hope that a quarterback helps their eventual replacement because I totally get it. I mean, it's a business first and foremost before everything. All right. I understand as a fan that you want your player to be loyal to the team and pretty much help the younger guys, but that's not how it works out. Okay. And I mean, with Big Ben, it's kind of ironic because he always did praise Tommy Maddox as a guy who did help Big Ben coming into the league, and Big Ben easily took his job. All right. Tommy Maddox wasn't that bad of a quarterback for the Steelers, I believe. Okay. I was a very young lad at that time. All right. A very young person. But I do remember that Tommy Maddox wasn't a bad quarterback. All right, and now we're going to have to go back and look at Tommy Maddox's stats because, of course, why not? All right, so let's see. Tommy Maddox came into the league in 1992. Didn't he play like in the AFL or USFL or something like that? Now we got to check Tommy Maddox's Wikipedia page because now I need to know for sure. All right, but let me see. Before I even get into that, actually, he played in the XFL and the Arena Football League. Okay. First quarterback to have won a XFL championship and a Super Bowl championship. The more you learn, right? So let's see. He played for New Jersey Red Dogs. That was his arena football team in 2000. Then in 2001, he played for the Los Angeles Extreme in 2001. And then after that is when he goes to the Steelers. All right, so now let's look at his stats. That's crazy how he was in the league in 1992. I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew he took a little break when I played in the Arena League or XFL, but I didn't know he came into the league so early. Nonetheless, when he comes back with Pittsburgh, I mean, 2002 was like his first real season, I guess. He went 7-3 that year. All right, 7-3-1 actually. Completed 62% of his passes, threw for over 2,800 yards, had 20 touchdowns, 16 picks. So it wasn't great from what I'm seeing, but nonetheless, Tommy Maddox wasn't bad, I don't think. 2003, he goes 6-10. Then I think it was 2004 he gets hurt. I think 2005 he also gets hurt. When was Big Ben's? Big Ben's first year was 2005, wasn't it? Okay, let me see real quick. Now we've gotten to the whole Big Ben, Tommy Maddox controversy. Okay? Which is just what we do on this podcast. We always twist and turn on things. But let's see, Big Ben comes in the league. Came in the league in 2004. Went 13-0. All right. Then only plays 12 games in 2005. 2005, they won the Super Bowl, right? Or was that 2004 when they played Seattle? I'd have to double check that. Let me see if they got it on this Pro Football Reference stat site. All right. Let's see. It's got to show it at least. Let me see. Where's the Super Bowls at? I'm almost positive it was 2005, but it might have just been 2004, and I think it was 2004. All right. So, yeah. So, I mean, if Tommy Maddox is a guy who helped out Big Ben, I mean, why not pay it forward to Mason Rudolph? I don't know, but he's choosing not to. So, I mean, that's all I got to say about that. I'm sure Mason Rudolph is going to be just fine. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's going to be fine with the Steelers. All right, if anything, I'm just kind of worried to see what they do with Le'Veon Bell because you don't want to be Mason Rudolph coming into your first season without your top players. So we'll see. But either way, Big Ben, can't knock him for not wanting to help him. But, I mean, he did it to himself with all this retirement talk. So we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked Big Ben, Mason Rudolph. We've talked Cavs, Raptors. Cavs ended up sweeping that series. I mean, just disgusting player from the Raptors all around. I mean, they're going to get their coach fired, it's looking like. And yeah, it'll be their fault as to why Dwayne Casey gets fired. It's not Dwayne Casey's fault. Alright? And I don't really think, like, if I'm the front office in Toronto, and I know I've been talking about this a lot today, but it's just something that's bugging me a bit. Like, if you're the front office, you have to be smart enough to know that whoever you're bringing in isn't beating LeBron-led team, right? Like, you know that? Like, honestly. Are they smart enough to realize that? Do they honestly think that it's the coach's fault? Or maybe it's one of those where they're trying to please the fans, make a change? All right? And if you're a fan and you want Dwayne Casey gone, fact of the matter is, I mean, at least my opinion, you're crazy. All right? If it's me, I want DeMar DeRozan or Lowry gone before I want Casey gone. Lowry and DeRozan aren't beating LeBron. Okay? Doesn't matter who you put over there. You could put Pat Riley as the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Phil Jackson could be the assistant coach. Then you can have Brad Stevens pretty much running the practices. They're still not going to beat the Cavs. Okay? I mean, it's just ridiculous for me to think. It's just ridiculous to think about the fact that fans and maybe the front office want Dwayne Casey gone when it's the farthest thing from his fault. All right? Like, I understand you're looking for someone to yell at, but yell at the players, not Dwayne Casey. So it's just kind of baffling to me. I mean, that's why Toronto's never really been that great of a franchise. Hurts, but it's true. All right. Then over in Boston, you got them heading back there for Game 5, up 3-1. Philly very well could have been up 3-1 in the series. I mean, they don't choke in Game 2. All right. Game 3, same thing. You win those 2 games, you're up 3-1 right now. Sure enough, now you're heading back to Boston for Game 5, down 3-1. All right. We do have a chance, though, in the series. I mean, of course, everyone's always got a chance. You win Game 5, you got all the momentum on your side heading back to Philly for Game 6. You win Game 6, Game 7 is up for grabs. All right. So we'll see what's going on there. Like I said, with the whole Big Ben talk, I mean, I don't dislike him for not wanting to help Mason Rudolph. I mean, what he said is completely true as far as Mason Rudolph not helping them winning now. But also, Big Ben's got to realize that he did this to himself. Okay? Because it's either, yeah, he was really thinking about retirement, or he just loves the attention on him. All right? That's all it is. There's no in between. All right? Either, yeah, he was thinking about retiring, or he wanted the attention. And either way, that's what got a quarterback drafted. So, if he's looking around to point fingers, he should point it at himself first and foremost. All right, but nonetheless, like I said, for this segment, we talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. So let's do that. Let's see what else is going on right now. We had the Sharks losing to the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday. All right, in Game 6, they are now out. And with Vegas, I mean, this is probably one of the greater sports stories, I think, of all time. All right. When is the last time an expansion team, and I have to double check how Atlanta United did in their first inaugural MLS season. I think it was last year? I think they ended up making the playoffs, ended up losing first round. All right. Vegas very well could make it to the Stanley Cup final. Okay. And if Vegas ends up winning the Stanley Cup final in their first year, I'd say that's one of the greatest sports stories of all time, if not the greatest. I mean, I don't think anything tops Leicester City winning the English Premier League. All right, a few years back, but Vegas would be up there. And shame on the NHL for not promoting this enough, for not pushing this out there. Like, the NHL is so bad at marketing their product. Like, they're so bad at getting it out there. They're so bad at getting the casual fan to continue to watch. Okay? It's moves like not staggering your playoff games. It's moves like putting the NHL All-Star game the same weekend as the Pro Bowl. I mean, what are you thinking? Okay, it seems like the NHL is just fine the way they are, and they just refuse to branch out. And I think that's what it is. They're just fine. They're content. All right? So if that's what Gary Bettman wants, who is the commissioner of the NHL, then so be it. But nonetheless, like I said, Vegas, I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury has been, it's ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen him play this well in Pittsburgh, or when he was in Pittsburgh as the goalie. All right? I watched every game of that Sharks Golden Knights series, and the guy was just stopping everything. He was the biggest factor in that series for Vegas. All right. William Karlsson played fine. Actually played great. So did Marchessault. But Marc-Andre Fleury, I mean, you couldn't get anything past him. It was ridiculous. It was honestly incredible, given how well he played. All right. And with the Sharks, I mean, it's just a matter of same stuff, different year. I mean, how I'm not even sure what this team can do. Their team is too good to blow up. All right, but it's a matter of they just can't get over the hump. They made it to the Stanley Cup final 1 year against Pittsburgh, ended up losing 4-2 in that series, but in reality, that series was never close if you watched it. Pittsburgh was running circles around San Jose. San Jose was just way too slow there. And it seemed like this year for San Jose might have been the year. All right, not winning it, but getting back. I mean, I figure that you're playing an expansion team in their first season. You should be the favorites to win. You should win in the second round, but nonetheless, I guess Vegas was just that good. And I honestly think it was more so Marc-Andre Fleury more than anything. All right, but if you're the Sharks, I mean, now it's a matter of, are you bringing back Jumbo Joe Thornton back? He's old, coming off of, he's got an MCL tear and an ACL tear. That's why he didn't play in the playoffs. You going to want to bring him back for another year? I would. I don't know if I would, actually. And then you got Evander Kane. What are you going to do with him? If I'm the Sharks, I'm doing everything I can to bring him back. It seemed like he fit in extremely well with this Sharks locker room. All right? And I think he was with Buffalo and Winnipeg before that. And didn't really seem to do much there. Didn't really get along with his teammates, it seems like. Wasn't a good locker room guy. And then more so might be just one where, I mean, when he was with Winnipeg, I believe, at the time, and I have to double check if it was Winnipeg, but I'm almost positive it was, they weren't a great team. And then Buffalo, I mean, hasn't been a great team at all. All right. So with San Jose, I feel like it was the first great team he's been on with a solid locker room. So if I'm the Sharks, why not bring him back? All right. Especially if he seems to like it there. And I mean, with the Sharks, it's just a matter of how off, like, just what do they need to do? Okay. I saw fans tweeting out after they lost, fire Pete DeBoer. What are you going to do that for? He's been a fine coach for them. He got him to the Stanley Cup final. All right, Todd McClellan didn't when he was there. All right, Pete DeBoer actually got him there. And it's not like they could have did anything against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was just by far the better team in that series. So, I mean, it's like with Dwayne Casey. Getting rid of Dwayne Casey isn't going to get the job done. And neither is getting rid of Pete DeBoer. All right? I understand that the fans want this team to start winning, but it's more so on the players than it is on the coaches. All right? Plus, in that Game 6, man, I mean, San Jose did everything they could to score, and it's just there was a force field behind Fleury. Fleury was on one, and the post was just not very nice to the Sharks. All right? And I think we got Nashville, who forced the Game 7 against Winnipeg. That might be going on today, I believe. Boston ended up losing their series to Tampa Bay, and now Tampa Bay will be playing, all right, they will be playing the Washington Capitals. Finally got it done for Washington. Finally beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. All right, first time they've made the Eastern Conference Finals in 20 years. Okay, is this the Caps here? It very well might be. Because none of these teams that are left have won a Stanley Cup. Winnipeg hasn't, Nashville hasn't, and of course, Vegas hasn't, because this is their first season. If there was any time for the Washington Capitals to go out and win the Stanley Cup, it's this year. Okay? They are the most experienced team out of these teams with no Stanley Cup final experience. All right? And I think that might be, if Nashville ends up winning their series, and then that's 2 series I got out of the 4 from the conference semifinals in both West and East. So we'll see. All right. Let's see, anything else going on in hockey right now in the playoffs? No, that's pretty much it. Washington finally got over the hump against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's shot at a 3-peat is over. Nashville's got Game 7, I believe, tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. Let me see if it is tonight for sure. I don't want to be giving out false information here. All right. So let's see. They are... It's Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, Jets versus the Predators. So 2 days from now. All right. So we'll see what ends up going on there. If Nashville ends up beating Winnipeg... I mean, the winner of this Nashville-Winnipeg series, I got to assume is going to the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just maybe I'm waiting a little bit too long on Vegas' luck running out, which it very well might not. All right. Just given how well they've played. And I kind of don't want Vegas to lose in the next round just because of the fact that it'd be a great sports story. All right, you know how many documentaries we can get out of this? All right, just imagine all the 30 for 30s about Vegas' first expansion season winning the Stanley Cup. And wouldn't that be something if it was Vegas versus Washington in the Stanley Cup Finals? I mean, that'd be a thing of beauty. All right, so that's all the talk I got for the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think this is probably the most in-depth we spent on it, honestly. All right, but we got other news and notes. Mark Ingram suspended, I think, for the first 4 games of the season because of a PED violation. I'm sure we're going to get some statement saying he didn't know that he was taking it or whatever. He would never do that, so there's that. But nonetheless, I mean, They got Kamara, so it's not really a big deal. Once he comes back from his 4 games, Ingram, he'll be fine. All right. Saints aren't really going to miss a beat, so it's not really big news, I don't think. All right, but nonetheless, let's see what else is going on. West Bromwich Albion going to be relegated from the Premier League this season. All right, I was talking about them yesterday on the GSMC Soccer Podcast. Go ahead and check that out when you can. Today we had Swansea versus Southampton playing. If those two teams drew, then it'd all come down to Sunday. I think Southampton was playing Manchester City on Sunday. Swansea would be playing Stoke. And then I think it was West Brom playing Crystal Palace. All right, if West Brom would have won and those two teams would have lost on Sunday, West Brom would have stayed up and it would have been incredible, but nonetheless, it's not happening. So they are relegated. And I guess now it's just between Swansea and Southampton, unless they're already relegated too. All right, actually, you know what? Let me look at the Premier League table. All right. Because of the fact that, it might just very well be over. So let's see. English Premier League table. Click. All right, head down to the bottom 3. Swansea's got 33 points. All right, they are 3 points behind Southampton. They're not catching Southampton unless they end up winning 9-0 on Sunday, and Southampton ends up losing. Just whatever. They are 3 points behind Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield Town plays this week. They're only 2 goals back as far as differential. Or actually, they have a better goal differential. I forgot. These teams are all in the negatives down here. So Swansea's at a negative 27. Huddersfield's at a negative 29. Let me see who Huddersfield is playing this week. All right, because that could just very well help us out here. I know Huddersfield's got to be playing tomorrow, unless it's Thursday. Nonetheless, let's see. So, yeah, Wednesday the 9th, let's see. Is Huddersfield playing? They're playing Chelsea. I don't see them winning that game, given that Chelsea are trying to make it into the top 4. On Sunday, let's see. Swansea, like I said, is playing Stoke. Huddersfield is playing Arsenal. Ooh, Swansea has a very good chance at staying up. All right. A very good chance. I'm sure Arsenal, too, in Arsene Wenger's last game coaching the team, they're going to want to send him out on a win. So Huddersfield, I'm sure they're going to end up losing both games. Swansea's got to win. Swansea end up winning on Sunday. They're going to end up staying up, I believe. So we'll see. But either way, we're going to wrap it up here. Today we talked Cavs-Raptors. Cavs won that series. We got Celtics-Sixers. Celtics currently up 3-1 in that series. Game 5 on Wednesday in Boston. We talked Big Ben and Mason Rudolph. Their relationship doesn't really seem off to a great start. And then for this segment, we talked Stanley Cup Playoffs, Mark Ingram a tiny bit, and then the relegation battle of the English Premier League. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I will be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and I'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.